stressed?
Me? No, I'm never stressed. Why would I be stressed? I'm not stressed about anything. I love flying. Flying's the best way to travel.
That's right. This time, these road trippers are taking to the skies. But first, we made a quick stop at Arrivals to meet our son, who just returned from a shooting assignment in Lisbon. Talk about perfect timing.
We're at the Pearson International Airport in Toronto, and we just had the friendliest service at the counter. She noticed that I was a little bit nervous, and she comforted me and told me to relax. And then we got through security like super fast. It took minutes, like minutes. So I'm already in shock, and this is hopefully a good omen that we're off to a fantastic trip, and that everyth's gonna go smoothly. Right?
And now we eat.
Oh gosh.
I'm hungry. I'm hungry. I'm hungry.
Sorry.
We're off to the islands, but not the ones that typically come to mind when you think vacation spot. After about 6 hours, we arrived in São Miguel Island, one of 9 remote volcanic islands in the archipelago of the Azores. After Nelson's traditional airport espresso at landing, and a little sightseeing during our 5-hour layover, we were off on our 45-minute flight to Pico Island. With 600 kilometers between the farthest east and west islands, the Azores sit in the North Atlantic Ocean, about 1,400 kilometers due west of Lisbon, Portugal, and over 3,600 kilometers east of the US. Pico is where Nelson lived for 8 years before he moved back to Canada on his own at the age of 20, which is when he met me and our journey together began. We got to visit 3 islands on this trip, but Pico Island was our home base for our 3-week vacation. We kicked things off with a week-long party in the village where Nelson had lived. The week was jam-packed with events and activities like traditional folklore dances, folk and fado music. We saw concerts, there was dancing, trail hiking, we played games, there were sporting events, orchestra performances, and one goofy water fight where we all started off sober, but some didn't end the water fight sober. And as is to be expected, there was food. So much great food. But one of the highlights for us, and for so many local islanders and visitors, is always the whale canoe regattas. Look, we don't condone whale hunting, nor is it practiced or legal anymore. But at one point, many years ago, it was an important part of life and survival for Azoreans. Some of Nelson's family were whalers. They would row out in these wooden whaling canoes that are smaller than the whales they hunted. It was really dangerous work, but they did it so they could provide for their families. So we respect that. While there's great pride in this for Nelson, we're all happier that hunting has ended, and now we get to watch the whaling canoes used in sport. And let me tell you, they take their regattas seriously, with many teams from around the island and even the closest neighboring islands coming together and competing in races all summer. On this trip, Nelson had the drone to capture these gorgeous aerial views, and it was just the most perfect day for it all.
The last day of the Marechea Festival, and we're on our way to the final events before the closing ceremony.
Lajes is a town and one of the 3 municipalities of the island of Pico. It's the main hub for the neighboring villages where you find government services, a healthcare center, a pharmacy, a post office. There are restaurants, there's a larger grocery store, banks, a car rental place, and more. This is one of the island's 3 main centers for tourism services. We came here a few times during our vacation. We tried new restaurants, we checked out the beautiful Whalers Museum, we came to a festival, and of course, we had pre-booked our spots to go whale and dolphin watching. This is always one of the highlights of our trips to the islands. Seriously, I love, love, love it. It's not a cheap activity, but it's reasonable for the almost 3 hours that you're out on the water. You're learning and watching dolphins swim and play freely, so I kind of think it's worth it. We've seen way more dolphins on other trips, but it's the wild, and you never know what you're gonna get. So on this trip, we saw 3 different types of dolphins and maybe a total of between 60 and 100. Plus, we saw 2 sperm whales. And we've had closer encounters on other trips, but on this day, we were still a ways out when this whale took its deep dive plunge. The whole experience just makes my heart so happy.
But it's awesome here. Like, you can do whale watching, kayaking.
You can book a climb to the top of the mountain, which you see behind me, I think. There you go.
And there's fishing tours and nature tours and hikes and scuba diving.
It's crazy.
You can do everything here. It's so awesome. All we're going to do, though, is the whale watching.
We did whale watching. And
I want to kayak on
now
the
we're
ocean.
very hungry. So
We're always hungry. Everything we do is about...
Well, that's because we're photos and food.
Okay, so we're going to go eat now, as we normally do.
And while making a fool of myself in public, I lost my jacket.
So this week in this town, there's a festival that's going to last all week, and they have these temporary food stands. This is one of them, and the food served. It's not a stand. It's a big tent, but they're considered stands. Here they're called tashka, and they're serving very traditional food. So for mine is incredibly traditional on the island. I have blood sausage, I have marinated pork cubes, these 2, and I have a sausage called linguiça. Oh, and the pork cubes are called presmos. And these are yam. Really good, and I'm looking forward to eating this.
Not yam. Yams? Or yams? It's a yam?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh.
We went back to Lajes for the finale of the Whalers Week Festival. We had dinner with friends, and then we got absolutely soaked in this heavy but luckily short-lived rainfall. We stayed for the headline performance and we pretended we were young again. Then once the rave began, we remembered our age and we got the heck out of there. Summers on the island are awesome. There's a festival of some sort happening almost every week, so there's always music, food, and a party to join somewhere if you want it. Pico Island has a coastal perimeter of about 150 kilometers. You can actually drive around it on the main road in about 2 hours. But we made a whole day of it so that we could stop often along the way to explore, swim, meet some animals, and yes, to eat. First stop, goats and caves.
Where are we heading, Liz?
The grutas, which are volcanic caves. It's actually a volcanic cave that's under Pico Mountain, which you can't see behind us right now because it's buried under, I guess, a shroud of clouds. We are dumbasses, once again, because we dress inaccurately.
Everyone else has sweaters and jackets and pants and not a...
Pico is the second largest of the 9 islands, and it has 2 pretty close neighbors, with the island of Faial 10 kilometers off the northwest coast, and São Miguel Island 19.5 kilometers off the north to northeast coast. The others are much farther away. You won't find any beaches on this island, but you'll find a number of municipal oceanside pools, some naturally enclosed ocean swim spots, and there are paved areas to lay out in the sun by the water. You'll also find a lot of grapes growing, cows grazing in open pastures, and hydrangeas everywhere.
Liz and I are standing on this pretty cool windmill that they've restored. This area is called Lajes, and these are actually UNESCO protected lands where they grow grapes. It's very unique.
The land is divided with volcanic rock, and it's in these small groupings like this, I learned, because the volcanic rock keeps in the heat, so it's a perfect temperature for the grapes to grow, as well as protecting the grapes from the wind that comes off the ocean. So
there's a lot of salt in the air, and that can sometimes damage the grapes.
So it's a perfect environment that they've created with these volcanic rocks that people put here like by hand, which is pretty incredible. We are on the north side of the island right now in
Pico.
Pico, and they have a municipal pool too, which is filled with ocean water as well. It's pumped in and filtered. They have a kids swimming area and then the deeper swimming area, but I just love that it's all kind of carved out of this natural volcanic rock, and then you get the best of both worlds, swimming in ocean water, but it's filtered and protected. So you've got the municipal pool, but if au natural is more your style, then you can just climb up here, jump off the dock, and have a little swim in the ocean.
Should I?
Take a dip.
I think I'm gonna take a dip.
Go dive?
Right down there. What do you think?
It's a pretty cool natural pool.
Yeah.
Natural as it gets.
I'm going.
Okay. We're at a cute little park on the northeast side of the island. There's this cute little windmill. It's not a lighthouse. And a gorgeous park. There are areas to picnic and barbecue. And there's animals, which we're going to go see shortly.
This is right beside the windmill where Liz and I were just standing. And it's the cutest little kids park.
This is one of the grill houses that you can cook in here at the park. It is actually built from volcanic rock, which is kind of cool. It's round, and then they have these openings on a few of the sides. You can't really see it, but there's a grill. And then on this side, there is a wood stove oven. So you can even make bread here if you want. Maybe we should come back and make bread. You see that? They even give you the wood. I love Pico. I feel like I'm heading into a secret garden. Look at this. How awesome is this? This little guy. Hi.
Tourism has really picked up over the years, especially because people come to hike Pico Mountain. It stands at 2,341 meters, making it the tallest point of all of Portugal. After a long day, we returned home to Santa Cruz to rest for the next day's adventures.
Today is our Faial Island day. Every time we come to Pico, we like to spend at least one day on the neighboring island. It's called Faial.
This is actually where I went to school as a teen, to high school. And I would cross over, I would live on the other island and then come home on some weekends. And I would cross in a boat much smaller than this one.
Bit of a rough trip here. Just gonna go back outside before I get sick. Peter's Cafe Sport in Horta, Faial.
It's the island of Faial in the Azores. This place is an iconic coffee shop, cafe, money exchange. It's basically one of the most popular stops for people sailing between continents, North America and Europe. And if I'm gonna spin this around now, you'll notice that there's flags from all kinds of countries, flags and labels and stickers, and basically people leave their little stamp of, I was here.
A lot of sailors leave their flags, notes, messages from their travels to say they were here.
This place is 104 years old. So
Nope,
104, I believe. It's 104.
4, you're right.
Yeah.
Okay, it's 104 years old right now.
And for today's meal, I'm having a traditional octopus with some greens and roasted potatoes.
And I'm having a beef.
It's a regional steak made with butter and garlic, and it will
fries.
hopefully be delicious.
It's supposed to be a little spicy, we'll see.
Bon appetit. Gin and tonic from Peter's Cafe, the iconic drink. Cheers.
We're about to start a tour where we're going to see the Kapalingu.
It's a buried lighthouse that was buried during a volcanic eruption. And then we're also going to see a giant crater. I believe possibly one of the largest in all of Portugal on this island. And just to show you a little bit of the background, it's not
Let's not get killed by a car.
it's not a bad place to hang out.
Of all the times we visited, this was the first time we booked a tour here. The small group tour was the way to go too. We had a really friendly and smart English-speaking tour guide. He's a scientist and researcher, so he knew his stuff and he was passionate about the island. There's no way we'd ever see all we did or learn as much on our own in a half day. So we felt it was well worth it to pay for this tour. And you're never going to believe what we did after the tour.
We are at Genuino Madruga's restaurant in Faial, but there's something special about these meals and the restaurant where we're at today. Let's go.
Yeah, the cool thing about, there he is right there. I feel like I'm seeing a superstar. Genuine is the only Portuguese sailor and the 10th worldwide to have sailed around the world solo. And he didn't just do it once, he did it twice. Because apparently, the first time, he took a shortcut. And so I guess, according to the rule book,
It's not recognized.
it's not recognized as truly sailing around the world. I think he went through the Panama Canal.
Yeah.
So he was determined
I've got to do this.
to get this record, and he did it again. So he's sailed around the world solo twice.
And we got to meet him this evening, and we're about to enjoy his wonderful food.
It's all around. There are T-shirts. There's
Things
money.
that he gathered,
Postcards, gifts, trinkets that he received from people that he met around the world, which is kind of cool. And apparently, if you ask, he'll tell you some stories.
Bon appetit.
Now it's time to eat. And just like that, our day in Horta has come to a close, and we're just about to board the boat back to Pico. So here we go.
We had a good time. We ate good food.
We had a great time.
Okay.
Bye, Faial, and hello, Pico. Such a beautiful island and mountain. We were so excited to show you Pico that we didn't show you what we saw during our 5-hour layover in São Miguel on arrival day. So here it is in a quick summary. Nelson's cousin picked us up and played tour guide for us. One of the cool, or should I say, hot spots we squeezed into our layover was in Caldeiras dos Furnas and Furnas Lake. It's a lagoon in a dormant volcanic crater. Here we saw bubbling geysers, and some of them had sacks of corn being boiled on them. You can actually buy this corn from food stands in the area. There were also areas where the ground was hot, and there were smoking holes that are releasing volcanic gases and vapors. While the area has become more touristy, it's pretty much still in its natural state. There are more signs, paths, and safety measures in place now than there were the first time I visited this area almost 30 years ago, but it's always an awesome place and well worth a visit. The smell of sulfur is strong, but it's bearable and it's really worth it to visit for a while. We were lucky to be there when a local restaurant owner had just pulled their pot of stew out of a hole where it was cooked by geothermal energy. It's a traditional stew known as cozido de fornos, or fornos stew. It's made of meat or fish layered between greens, potatoes, and other veggies. It's one of the many geo-sites that you just have to visit on a trip to São Miguel. There was so much more to see. I've only been to 5 of the 9 islands, and while they share some similarities, each one has its own vibe and its own beauty that stands out and makes it unique. So far, along with Pico, I'd probably say São Miguel is my other favorite island. I love it because it has such a fantastic balance between city and nature. As the largest island of the Azores with a population of around 140,000, it's nicknamed the Green Island. With gorgeous landscapes, volcanoes, calderas, crater lakes, hot springs, volcanic caves, and more. There's so much to see and do, and our short layovers are never enough. If you can, I'd recommend 5 to 7 days minimum so that you can really explore the island and see everything it has to offer. Many years ago, we were really lucky to get to spend a few days here with friends. They showed us so much of the island, and we really fell in love with it. It's well worth a visit. Now let's go back to Pico and show you some of the views and ways we spent time around our town of Santa Cruz.
This video is a little bit different because we try to connect all of our content to food. Unfortunately, I couldn't bring my barbecue this time around. And
He tried.
And there was really no time to be cooking. Once we got here, we realized, let's be realistic. We're here to travel and see places and things and people, and let's just enjoy what everyone's cooking for us, and restaurants and all that. We're very excited to be showing you these images. We hope that we give you a little taste of what these islands have to offer. We didn't see everything on this island. We didn't see everything in Faial when we visited there. We're not going to see much in St. Michael's because we're only there for a few hours. And there's 6 more islands with so much beauty. And each island has its own beauty that you have to experience for yourself.
Yeah.
This is different, and it's an experience. So I encourage you to consider this a destination in your future travels.
We have had a blast. It's been a great 3 weeks, but it's time to bid farewell to Pico for now. So we'll see you hopefully in a couple of years. Thanks for the great time.
Bye.
Bye, Pico.